It is 7 o'clock, Beverly Standard Time. My hair is starting to be a mess because, look at, see, I don't care. We are on chapter 8, people. I need to read more because I want to read more when I go to bed. And I'm like, I can't read this book without you guys. I can't read it by myself and not share it. I have to share. So, here we go. Gonna get comfy. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony will induct. I can't, I'm not gonna read that. We're reading this. Here we go. Chapter 8, the first transfer hearing. I want my pillow back. I want my pillow back. Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. That's not. Here we go. The first transfer hearing. Eddie. No. You ever talk to your glasses? I do. You just saw it happen. Eddie O'Brien was indicted by the grand jury in August 1995, just 1 month after his arraignment. Oh wait, before I even keep going, I'm starting chapter 8. If you are just tuning in and you have not watched the first installment and the second installment of this book, I've read all the previous chapters live and I've already uploaded them. So if you want to follow along and hear this book read live, go back and watch the first installment and the second installment of this book. This is now the third, where I started on chapter 8. Don't just start at chapter 8. This book is crazy. True story crazy. Go back and watch the first 2 uploads and catch up. And then come back and watch this. Don't just start at chapter 8. Trust me, there's a lot you missed. Go back, watch the first 2, and then come back and watch this. Okay? There we go. Now, chapter 8. The first transfer hearing. Eddie O'Brien was indicted by the grand jury in August 1995, just 1 month after his arraignment in juvenile court, with the district attorney presenting the case himself. Imagine what weight it carries for jurors to see the official they voted for, the elected district attorney for the largest county in Massachusetts, up there in person. It's rare that a true bill indictment would not be handed down by a grand jury. Tom Riley hardly needed to present this case himself. Usually there's one assistant district attorney who presents all the cases to the grand jury. I gotta fix this. Better. The indictment removed the need for the first part of the juvenile court transfer hearing, known as Part A, in which the Commonwealth had to prove that there was probable cause to hold the accused over for trial. The proceedings skipped directly to the second part of the transfer hearing, known as Part B, in which his amenability to rehabilitation was at issue, with Judge Paul Pierce Heffernan presiding. It's a long name. Under the new Copney Grant amendment to the juvenile law, there was a presumption that Eddie was not amenable to rehabilitation within the juvenile justice system. It was up to Eddie to prove that he could be rehabilitated. Since he had the burden of proof, his part of the case was presented first. 15, the kid's 15. With Eddie proclaiming his innocence in Janet Downing's murder, how was he to prove he was amenable to a program of rehabilitation for a crime that he hadn't committed? As it is customary for these hearings, a psychiatric specialist was appointed by the court to do an in-depth evaluation of the juvenile defendant to determine whether he was a candidate for rehabilitation. For the purposes, I have MS, this happens a lot. For the purposes of these evaluations, the expert evaluator assumes that the youth committed the crime in order to determine if he would be amenable to the services offered in order to rehabilitate him. That's asinine. He's saying that he's innocent. How can you assume he committed the crime when he's telling you he's innocent? Hold, please. The fan is in my face. I have to fix this. Oh, that's better. I like air to be moving in my room. I don't like it to be right in my face. That's a bit much. It makes me, I don't know about you, it makes me dizzy. When the air is like right in my face, it's too much. Like literally I'm getting dizzy from air being blasted in my face. I don't know about everybody else, but I like air moving in the room. I don't like stagnant air. I need to feel that the air is moving around, but not blasted in my face. You know what I'm saying? So, one more sip of my tea. For real, that makes me dizzy. And that maybe that's an MS thing, I don't know. Oh, so much better. This tea is now hot water. No, it's not hot anymore, but it was hot. Hot water, fresh squeezed lime juice, a squished blueberry, and some organic stevia. Delightful, like a tropical beverage. It's definitely not hot anymore. Okay. I don't... You have to assume he's guilty. He's telling you he's innocent. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever read. In Eddie's case, his attorney made it clear in his instructions to Eddie and in his comments to the court that Eddie had a Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination, and that he had instructed Eddie not to discuss any aspect of the crime itself with the evaluator. The judge reiterated over the Commonwealth's objection that Eddie, in fact, did have the same constitutional rights as any other defendant, and he directed the psychiatrist not to inquire about the crime itself when meeting with Eddie. His attorney's decision to press the Fifth Amendment issue would create more problems than it solved. Eventually, it would give the Commonwealth reason to appeal the judge's final decision in this case. Secondly, an important part of what is assessed by the psychiatrist is the level of remorse exhibited for the crime. How do you have remorse for something you didn't do? Sorry, that's me ad-libbing. You'll get that. You'll get the hang of me. Trust me. You'll know. I can't. I just lost my place because I get flustered. I'm mad that this happened to this child. He was a child. I know he's a man now, but he was a child. He's younger than me. But it still doesn't make any of this right. And I understand it's not even about him. It's about Janet Downing. She's the one who lost her life. Her family is the one that's suffering. I understand this. But I don't believe that this boy did this. I think that absolutely somebody else did this. And they're hiding that truth. Okay. An important part of what is assessed by the psychiatrist, though, remorse exhibited the crime, Eddie expressed no remorse. More importantly, though, allowing Eddie to tell his story would have put into evidence his version of what he saw that night. The Commonwealth already knew Eddie's version. Investigators had a copy of the sodium amytal interview with Dr. Spires, during which he discussed finding his best friend's mother slain that night. Eddie had told the same story both before and after the sodium amytal was administered. Seriously. Hi, Laura. Hi, Laura. Laura, we didn't get off to the right start, and that is my fault, and I am going to forever apologize, but I love you. I hope you know that. I hope you know that. If you haven't listened to the first two installments, I'm on chapter 8 now. So if you haven't listened to the first two installments, go back and listen to the first two that I already uploaded, because I've read all the way through this book out loud, every chapter, and this is chapter 8. Hi, sweetie. You're cute too. Yeah, so if you haven't heard the other chapters, go back and listen to the first two installments. I uploaded them in two separate, installments. So go listen to those and then come back here for chapter 8. I'm going to read this entire book for everyone to enjoy. No, I will always apologize because I just was, honestly, you know what happened, but I was defending James. I didn't know that you weren't that same girl. I thought you were that same girl that he had just tried to toss out. And I thought, the balls on, that's what I just thought, the balls on this woman. He just kicked her out and she's back. Balls of steel. That's all I could think. And I'm like, James, my James. And she comes back during his party? That's all I could think. I didn't know that you weren't the same woman. That's all. I just was defending James. You know that, though. But the best thing is, we're friends now. And we always will be. So I am going to read this. This is chapter 8. So if you, I know, I love you too. I do. For real. And look at, I'm going to look right at you. I absolutely love you. You're real. You're the real deal. And I don't travel much, but if I ever find myself down in your neck of the woods, you owe me a motorcycle ride. Okay? Here we go. That was very bright. I'm blinded. Blinded by the light. Wrapped up like a douche. I'm sorry. That's how I sing it. Okay? Gen X, I sing douche. That's what I sing. Those are my words. I don't care if those aren't the words. That's what I sing. So if you haven't heard the first 2 installments, go back and listen to those and then come on back here. Okay? Back to chapter 8. Where'd I go? Secondly, an important part of what is assessed by the psychiatrist is a level of remorse. Oh, right here. How can there be remorse? How can there be remorse? There's no remorse. Eddie didn't do... How do you have remorse for something you didn't do? How is a 15-year-old supposed to have remorse for something he didn't do? He didn't do anything. How are you supposed to have remorse? Did you kill this woman? No. Are you remorseful about it? I didn't do it, thanks. The level of remorse exhibited by the crime. Every time he could, the district attorney drove home the fact that the psychiatrist said Eddie expressed no remorse. More importantly, though, allowing Eddie to tell his story would have put into evidence his version of what he saw that night. The Commonwealth already knew Eddie's version. Oh, I read this already. I'm sorry. Here we go. There was just no reason for Bob George to instruct Eddie not to talk about what happened that night. It only hurt him in the end. I know. Judge Paul Heffernan was a well-respected jurist and the presiding judge of Somerville District Court. I will make my own sound effects, thank you. He spent a lifetime in the juvenile justice system and had heard hundreds of juvenile transfer hearings since his appointment to the bench in 1979. I was 7. This was most likely District Attorney Tom Riley's first transfer hearing and first foray into the world of juvenile delinquency proceedings. The district attorney and Eddie's lawyer both stipulated that the court would appoint Dr. Richard Barnum, a child and adolescent forensic psychiatrist, to evaluate Eddie and present his recommendations to the court. Excuse me. Dr. Barnum had an impressive resume and had worked in the juvenile court system for many years also. He received his medical degree from Albert Einstein College of Medicine at Yeshiva University in New York City in 1974. Sorry, I just thought it would be fun to do that in a fancy voice. He directed the Boston Juvenile Court Clinic since 1982, conducting evaluations for thousands of children and families involved in juvenile court. He was formerly on the faculty of the University of Massachusetts and Harvard Medical Schools. Ooh la la. And was published widely on issues of forensic assessment of children and families and mental health concerns in the juvenile justice system. Fancy pants. Dr. Barnum presented a 41-page report on December 20th, 1995. In addition to 7 hours of face-to-face interviews with Eddie, He had met with Eddie's family for 9 hours and reviewed dental, medical, and educational records, as well as grand jury minutes. He had telephone conversations with Riley, Eddie's first and second lawyers, his grade school and high school teachers and administrators, his sports coaches, and the staff at the correctional facility. He also directed Dr. Linda Field, a well-known child and adolescent psychologist, to conduct a full battery of psychological testing, addressing the 9 statutory factors on which the court is required to make findings of fact. Dr. Barnum reached the following conclusions. This is a mouthful. We need to wet the whistle here. Okay, now I'm good. All right. Maturity, actual cognitive and emotional functioning, is much more like that of a preteen or early adolescent than that of a late adolescent or early adult. Hi, he's 15. And a boy at 15, he might as well be 12. Life lessons, people. This is life experience, okay? Prior court record. No prior court involvement or history of delinquency charges. Family and social history. He came from a stable, intact, loving family in which there is no reported history of violence, abuse, neglect, or substance abuse. School. No indications of conduct problems in school, and his academic record has been generally consistent with his average cognition. See, now, I can't even boast of that. I got by the skin of my teeth. All right, I changed my mind. Pillows pissing me off. Okay. It's a woman's prerogative to change her mind. All right. Social. He maintains successful peer relationships and has been involved in a number of pro-social activities involving service to the community. Success or lack of success with any past treatment efforts. The only specific treatment with which Edward has been involved in speech therapy is speech therapy in early childhood, ages 3 to 5. Well, who cares? Every kid needs help in the beginning. Good deal. Services available through the juvenile justice system. The nature of services available to him is not entirely clear at this time. Juveniles committed on murder charges would remain at the Plymouth Correctional Facility to age 21. Clinical services to this population have been in flux and are currently under review and redevelopment because of the recent changes in the law made by the Harbor and Copley Grant amendments. The entire juvenile system was in flux, trying to accommodate the legislative changes. So not only did Eddie have to prove he was amenable to rehabilitation for a crime he didn't commit, which is, I call bullshit. Those are my words. That's mine. But he also had to prove that he was amenable to a treatment program that didn't even yet exist. And then he had to pull a rabbit out of a hat and shit rainbows. Again, my words. Adequate protection of the public. The uncertainty regarding the actual nature of Edward's involvement in the current offense raises some questions regarding whether long-term incarceration is required. This whole thing is, it's like I'm literally getting dizzy. Trying to wrap this in my head. I'm angry. I'm sad for Eddie. I'm really sad. This whole thing, I'm sad for everybody. But I'm really angry. I'm angry at our justice system. I'm angry at Massachusetts for being such fuck-ups for so long. So long. They're still doing it. Karen Reed, they're still doing it. Hi, Proctor. I got nothing to say to you, dude. Not a thing. Shame on you. And if I was your mother, I'd be hiding in a corner somewhere. Shame on you. You did not at all make your mother or father proud. Piece of garbage. And your wife? I want to be married to a cop. Not that kind of cop. God damn. Okay. Adequate protection of the public, the uncertainty regarding the actual nature of Edward's involvement in the current offense raises some questions regarding whether long-term incarceration is required. Eddie's lawyer's decision that Eddie shouldn't tell Dr. Barnum how and why he came to be in the house that night and what he had seen made it impossible for the evaluator to make a clear determination that might have helped Eddie's case in the final analysis. Instructing Eddie not to tell his story prevented Dr. Barnum from concluding that the public would be adequately protected if Eddie was released. It's just insane. Nature, circumstances, and seriousness of the alleged offense. Available information regarding the killing of Miss Downing suggests that it involved a struggle and took place over some period of time. The specific events leading up to and including the killing remain a matter of speculation, as does the motive. In determining whether Eddie was a likely candidate for rehabilitation, Dr. Barnum stated his opinion that Eddie did not currently present with any clear psychiatric disorder for which treatment is indicated. Again, the evaluator noted that he was at a loss to be more definitive because Eddie did not provide information either about his involvement in the offense or about his own emotional reactions. He was advised not to. And he didn't do it. Is he supposed to pull a story out of his ass? I'm sorry, I'm thinking about this as a mother. I've had a 15-year-old, and if somebody did this to my kid, I'd lose my shit. Dr. Barnum couldn't infer either the presence or absence of a more serious personality pathology. His clinical, I'm making up words, people, just bear with me. His clinical impression, based on his interviews, was that it is more likely that he does not, in fact, have a serious personality disorder than that he does. Dr. Barnum's opinion was that Eddie's prognosis for successful treatment within the juvenile justice system was good. Now, it was the district attorney's chance to show Eddie was not amenable to treatment. D.A. Riley's case at the first transfer hearing consisted of presenting all the evidence regarding the horrific nature. Hopefully you guys can see me okay. Regarding the horrific nature of the crime. He presented Trooper Joseph Duggan from the District Attorney's CPAC unit, Somerville Police Detectives Charles Femino, a first responder that night, and one of the EMTs from Cataldo Ambulance Service. They are like right around the corner from my house. Cataldo Ambulance Service. He elicited long and detailed testimony from the state medical examiner, Dr. Leonard Atkins, who did the autopsy. He called 3 of Eddie's friends, Ryan and Paul Downing and Marco Abreu, to testify about some fairly benign things Eddie had said in the past. How does that have anything? We're breathing. We're breathing. These things hit differently when you're a parent. When Eddie was arrested, the police told reporter Ann Donlan, "We don't have a motive at this point. We can't even think of one." You're trying to think of one? I'm hearing, pin it on the girl, but let's turn around and pin it on the boy. I need to breathe for a second. Breathing does help, you know. It totally does. When Eddie was arrested, the police told reporter Ann Donlan, "We don't have a motive at this point. We can't even think of one." Riley added, "It's much too early to speculate on what the motive may have been. We've got a lot of work to do before we make a judgment on that." Translation, we've got a lot of stories to fabricate. I almost said fornicate. Sorry. 5 years, almost 6, been a long time. We've got a lot. Sorry, I make myself laugh a lot. We've got a lot of work to do before we make a judgment on that. The Downing Son's testimony was intended to lay the foundation for the emerging motive. The Commonwealth was trying to develop that Eddie had a peculiar interest in their mother. You buy that for $1, I got a bridge I want to sell you. Marco Abreu testified that he'd seen Eddie on Hamlet Street coming out of the bushes the night of the murder. He originally told the police that he wasn't sure whom he had seen. The day after the murder, he was overheard saying he still was unsure. By the third day, after Eddie's father told him he now was unwelcome at their house, Marco's mother called the police so he could make a third statement. Oh, now his feelings are hurt. He's going to say that it was definitely Eddie. He was now 100% sure that it was Eddie. Him feelings get hurt. Oh, these poor men and their boys and their... I can't. No offense to the men watching this, but seriously, why are women always stronger? Just why? He was 100% sure he saw Eddie coming out of the bushes behind the Downings' house that night. Of course he was. Don't hurt a boy's feelings. None of this evidence went to the amenability of Eddie O'Brien to rehabilitation within the juvenile justice system, the only purpose of the first transfer hearing. When he read Dr. Barnum's report in December 1995, Riley had to be very worried by the absence of motive in the case. 2 weeks after Dr. Barnum submitted his report, the district attorney met with him and conveyed information that he had not conveyed in our telephone conversations prior to the submission of my original report. Riley told Barnum that a newspaper article had been discovered in Eddie's bedroom describing another murder by adolescent perpetrators. This article would become the subject of much confusion at trial. He also told Barnum that Eddie had obtained a key to St. Joseph's School and entered the school illicitly, both alone and with friends. The subsequent testimony at the transfer hearing regarding the key and the school proved to be very different from what Riley suggested to Barnum on January 5th, 1996. In fact, Eddie's friends testified that Eddie and his friends played hide and seek in the school and in the closed and abandoned school. In addition, Riley told Barnum that 1, Eddie had been stealing money from his grandfather in the 6 months prior to Janet Downing's murder. Parentheses, this was never verified by anyone, nor was ever raised at trial, end parentheses. 2, Downing had begun to report missing money after Eddie's grandfather's money went missing, parentheses, this also was never verified and was also never raised at trial, end parentheses. 3, Eddie told friends about looking through Downing's window and watching her undress shortly before the murder, parentheses, Ryan Downing alleged that Eddie told him that he once saw her undressing in her bedroom window. Eddie denies he ever saw this or told Ryan that he saw this, end parentheses. 4, Eddie did have prior police involvement. He had been questioned once by the Medford police regarding a burning mailbox. Sorry, those were good days back in the day. A burning mailbox, but was never charged in the case. Riley implied that he had been guilty, but got away with it. Don't imply shit that isn't true. Why are you doing that? Why? Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, I know why. Massachusetts cops. My bad. I should have known that. Eddie's attorney objected to the admission of this addendum. I'll turn this so you can see me better. There we go. This addendum to Dr. Barnum's report at the transfer hearing. Sorry. MS is brutal. It's not even 7:30. Do you see what's happening? It's not even 7:30. Forgive me. This is why I drink tea. All right. Turn myself around and sit comfy. Okay. Oh my goodness. Where did I go? Eddie's attorney objected to the admission of this addendum to Dr. Barnum's report at the transfer hearing due to the unverified statements and the fact that the DA only thought to inform Dr. Barnum about these allegations after the forensic psychiatrist had noted that Eddie had no known motive. There's no motive. Hold on. That's better. There's no motive. Riley's efforts with Dr. Barnum seemingly were to show that Eddie had a propensity to commit the crime, and may also have had a motive. Judge Heffernan didn't allow the addendum into evidence. Riley, meanwhile, engaged the services of a former FBI special agent, Greg McCrary. He tried to call him to the stand. As an expert in criminal investigative analysis. Riley told Judge Heffernan that McCrary would testify to the sexual nature of this crime and the component, that very serious component when sex and violence come together. He will testify as to the behavior, the planning, the things that Dr. Barnum pointed out in the report. The planning, the aggressiveness, the exploitation is another word he used, and he will testify on all of those subjects. As an offer of proof to the judge of what McCrary would say on the witness stand, Riley said, "In short, Your Honor, Edward O'Brien, at his own choice, has made a decision in terms of the degree of cooperation with Dr. Barnum and Dr. Field that has resulted in an incomplete picture with respect to motive and intent in this case. That is his own choice." Hold on. We will fill in those blanks for you as the trier of facts in this case, so that you will understand and have a complete understanding of motive, of intent, which goes directly to the issue of rehabilitation. This is all a load of shit. My words. So 5 months after the murder, Riley had finally produced a motive. He wanted the court to allow McCrary, based on his review of the crime scene photographs, the grand jury testimony, and the autopsy report, to give his opinion as to why the crime occurred, how it was premeditated and carefully planned out, and what Eddie's motivation and intent were in committing the crime. The court didn't permit McCrary to testify. The judge determined that his testimony would be relevant to, that this testimony could be relevant to Eddie's ultimate guilt or innocence at trial, but it was not the kind of testimony to be considered at a Part B transfer hearing. The statute is quite clear as to what the court must consider. Those are the 9 factors outlined in Dr. Barnum's report. The last of the 9 factors, the nature and the seriousness of the crime, was undisputed. The judge did not need an expert to tell him that this was a vicious and brutal homicide. Dr. Leonard Atkins had done that quite well. Dr. Atkins testified that he performed Janet Downing's autopsy at 11:41 a.m. on July 24, 1995. She suffered 66 stab wounds and 32 incised wounds for a total of 98 distinct knife wounds. An incised wound is a cutting, slashing type wound longer than it is deep. In the doctor's 39-year career, he said he could not recall seeing that many wounds on a single victim. Downing had fought. She had defensive knife wounds on both hands, wrist, her arm, her left arm, her 2 fingers on her left hand. She had stab wounds on the upper part of her left forearm and an abrasion of her elbow. She had been assaulted virtually everywhere. In the head area, she suffered a total of 5 wounds, 2 stab wounds to the back of her skull, an incised wound above her left ear, a scrape to her head, and a bruising to her ear. Her neck had 3 stab wounds and 22 incised wounds, ear to ear, across her neck, inflicted in the coroner's medical opinion after she was unconscious. Yeah, why not? Just add insult to injury. Why not? There was another stab wound 1 inch deep below her left ear and a slashing to her chin. She had 38 stab wounds in the center of her chest below her breasts. The wounds were from 1/8 inch deep to over 4 inches deep. Going into her chest cavity and beyond to an unknown depth. One wound was used 7 times to inflict 7 separate injuries to her lungs, sever a rib, and perforate her liver. No 15-year-old does this. No 15-year-old does this. I don't care. I don't care. I do not care what Artie said in the chat. I do not care how many times he said it's a lie. I don't care how many times he raised his voice and said it's a lie. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Artie, are you watching? Look me in my eyes. I don't care. You, my friend, are lying. I don't care. If you are innocent, go get your DNA swab of your cheek and show the world that you are innocent. And the more you refuse to do that, the more that screams that you are hiding something. Back to the book. She suffered 5 stab wounds to her upper back, shoulder, blade, and lower left back area. 2 of these were 2 inches deep. In addition to the stab wounds all over her body, she had blunt force injuries with bruising on the bridge of her nose, her lower lip, her chin, near the stab wounds under her right and left breasts and upper back, the back of her left arm, elbow, and the top of her left wrist. Dr. Atkins said the knife wounds to her lungs and liver were fatal. It took several minutes for her to die from those wounds. It was not possible to tell how long it would have taken the perpetrator to inflict all of these injuries, but it certainly took some time. The level of brutality is staggering and incomprehensible. The abundance of blood that would be scattered from 98 knife wounds and a severe beating is obvious. Even if one never saw the photographs of the autopsy and the crime scene, the perpetrator would have been saturated in Janet Downing's blood. It defies logic to think that Eddie could have committed this crime without getting more than 1 drop of blood, consistent with her AB blood type, on his right shin. Many witnesses had seen Eddie in the same clothes all day and all night. Although the district attorney would make attempts during the trial to suggest that Eddie changed his clothing, presumably both before the crime and then somewhere between leaving the crime scene and arriving at midnight convenience store, he was not able to provide a scintilla of evidence to support this theory, because there is none. Oh my God, I'm going to be sick. I can't. That was 1 chapter and I feel ill. I feel ill. I can do 9. 9 is short. I don't know if I can do 10. I literally feel sick to my stomach, but I'll do chapter 9. Chapter 9, What the Commonwealth Knew. Trial testimony would reveal that Eddie became a person of interest in Janet Downing's murder the moment he reported the mugging. The police made him their prime suspect after interviewing him that night, seizing his clothes and sneakers, photographing and fingerprinting him. They arrested him just 38 hours later. What evidence against Eddie O'Brien did the Commonwealth have on July 25th, 1995, before they arrested him? I'll give you a hint. 0. 0. They had 0. Remember, pin it on the girl with Karen Reed? Pin it on the altar boy. They had 0. I need tea. I'm like dizzy, nauseous. This book is doing things to me. I'm so upset as a mother. I'm so upset right now. Okay. I can do this. Eyewitnesses. 3 boys, friends of Eddie and Ryan, had gone to Ryan's house at approximately 9:20 p.m. to see if Ryan was home yet. Marco Abreu, Seth Dion, and John Fitzpatrick knocked at the front door, but got no answer. The front door was ajar, but the inner door to the house was closed. Seth went to the back door on the deck and got no answer. Marco, standing in the backyard, noticed that the cellar door was wide open. Just then they heard a rustle in the bushes and saw a 6'2", 220-pound white male jump onto Hamlet Street and continue walking down the hill. Marco called to him, "Hey, Ed! Nice hiding place, Ed." Their accounts varied as to whether or not this person turned to look at them, but none of the boys positively identified the man as Ed O'Brien. Marco said he saw the man smile but couldn't be 100% sure. He didn't positively identify Eddie until after the arrest. John said simply the man never stopped and continued walking. Despite the lack of positive identification, do you hear how my voice is? I'm upset. I'm upset. Despite the lack of positive identification, the district attorney believed he had eyewitnesses who put Eddie O'Brien at the scene of the crime. Without positive ID, you don't? Asswipe, you don't. Sweep, eh? Alleged murder weapon. The police found a piece of metal they believed to be the hilt of a small pocket knife in the shag carpet on the third stair in the Downing home. They never found a murder weapon. The hilt they found was substantially similar to a small green knife Eddie owned. The green knife had a matching red knife. Eddie had found the knives while cleaning out the attic when his grandfather was in the hospital that June and brought them over to the Downing home to show his friends. Eddie also brought the green knife into Midnight Convenient to show one of the clerks, Jack Arnold, coincidentally also a court officer in the Somerville District Court. The night before the murder, the clerk said he noticed that the hilt was loose. Eddie left the knife at midnight that Saturday night with Jack Arnold. The green knife was never found. Fingerprints. Eddie O'Brien's left thumb, index finger, and middle finger prints were found on the post at the foot of the cellar staircase. Prints from his right index finger and right middle finger were found on the inside of the interior front door, above the door handle. The district attorney had Eddie's fingerprints at the scene of the crime. That's it. The only hard evidence implicating Eddie O'Brien as the perpetrator of a horrific murder of his best friend's mother that the district attorney had before arresting Eddie. No blood testing had been done, and Marco Abreu had not yet changed his story to being 100% sure it was Eddie that he saw. No comparison had been done between the metal piece and any similar knife with a hilt. The Commonwealth eventually learned that Eddie had indeed been inside the Downing house that night, and that he said he had seen the perpetrator. But that wasn't until they learned from the defense team about Eddie's interview with Dr. Paul Spears. Eddie had been in custody for at least 2 weeks when he wrote a note in mid-August to his attorney, Ralph Ciampa, telling him he'd been in the house and he'd seen the attacker. His attorney arranged for Eddie to undergo the forensic interview under the influence of sodium amytal, called truth serum, by Dr. Spires. Like a lie detector test, this is a useful tool in gathering additional information or collaborating known information, but it is not admissible at trial. Then why do it if it's not admissible? Like a lie detector test, it is not considered scientifically reliable. The test indicated that Eddie was being truthful about what happened to him that night. Great, you're telling us the truth, but we can't use that, pal. Thanks for being helpful, but we can't help you. The report was shared with the district attorney, notwithstanding the test or the fact that Eddie had no detectable blood on his clothing, sneakers, hands, or under his fingernails right after the murder, and had been wearing the same clothing all day. The Commonwealth proceeded to build its case around Eddie O'Brien to the exclusion of any, this makes me sick, to the exclusion of any other possible suspect. The DA knew that the Reckleys, Janet Downing's common wall neighbors, had heard a sound that could have been someone falling down the stairs at exactly 8:15 p.m. Investigators knew that part of what they believed was the murder weapon and blood were found on the lower 5 steps of that staircase. They knew that there was almost no water pressure at the Reckleys' house at 9 o'clock. They knew that this often happened if the water was running at the Downings' house. They also knew the Downings' water was still running full force in the powder room when the first responders arrived at the scene at 10 p.m. They knew Eddie O'Brien was at home in his own house between 8:15 and 9:15 that night. The testimony of the Commonwealth's own witnesses, Marco Abreu, Seth Dion, John Fitzpatrick, and Michelle Cameron, made it impossible for Eddie to have committed the slaying within the time frame available to him. The testimony of the coroner alone illustrated the enormous amount of time the murderer spent with Janice Downing, struggling across 3 rooms and the stairway, beating her, killing her, undressing her, redressing her, and then inflicting post-mortem wounds. The window of opportunity for Eddie O'Brien would have been between 9:15, when he was known to have left his house, and 9:20 after the boys knocked and saw someone jumping out of the bushes. District Attorney Tom Riley himself was present during witness interviews the morning after the murder. Riley's CPAC unit had taken over the case from the Somerville police detectives at 2:30 a.m., just hours after the murder. Decisions had already been made about how this investigation would proceed. Excuse me. I can't. My lips are so dry. This book is mental. I need a little something. Just chapstick, but I can't. Got it on my teeth? Okay. Okay. Better. Decisions had already been made about how this investigation would proceed. Who told the troopers not to interview the Reckleys? Why weren't they interviewed until 2 years? This is ridiculous. The neighbors on the other side of the duplex, like the walls are touching. They're not interviewed until 2 years after? I'm sorry, why? Why? That makes 0 sense. 2 years after. I don't get it. Why weren't they interviewed until 2 years after the murder? Was it because, their observations completely conflicted with what little evidence the Commonwealth had against Eddie O'Brien? Every prosecutorial decision made along the legal journey in this case placed the blame squarely on the shoulders of a 15-year-old boy to the exclusion of any other possible suspect. It appeared that no one else was ever seriously considered as a possible suspect. Eddie had to be guilty. Tom Riley's credibility and his career depended on it. And that makes me sick to my stomach. So your credibility and your career are more important than the future of an innocent 15-year-old boy. All right, I gotta stop at chapter 10. Seriously, this book is it's heavy. 2 chapters at a time. I'm gonna pause this now because I need to watch Ren and Stimpy or something. I can't. I will pull another card though. I do love this deck. This is a brand new deck. This is your breakthrough is coming. After a couple of chapters, I always pull a card from this. Now this is brand new today. It's a lovely deck. It helps me. It calms me after this snatch. I can't. All right, let's see. All right, I need my lap desk. Here we go. And whatever falls out is the one we get. I don't pick the cards pick me. Ooh, is that one upside down? Ooh, some of them are. Why are they upside down? Oh, they're all this way. They're not upside down. Here we go. I'm like, why are they upside down? I got them now. I can't with this. I think I'm gonna watch after this? I'm gonna turn on Breaking Bad and just relax to some Breaking Bad. Jesse, you old bitch. I love Jesse. I need some Jesse. Either that, I'm going to turn on some Floyd and just lose myself to some Pink Floyd. Do you see? I don't pick the cards. The cards just fall the frig out. You are the magic. You are the magic. Let's find out where that is in here. You are the magic. No, page number 18. Here we go. Here we go. You are the magic. The core message. Everything you're looking for lives within you. I know this. Key themes: self-worth, inner power, manifestation, authenticity, trusting yourself, and divine alignment. The message of this card. You spend enough time searching, comparing, and doubting. The truth is, the spark you seek, the power you crave, the clarity you long for is already inside you. You are not missing a piece. You are the piece. You have to give yourself credit. This card comes as a radiant mirror, reflecting back the truth that you may have forgotten. You are the magic. The dream, the energy, the power to create and become. It lives in your breath, your choices, your heartbeat. You don't need permission. You are your permission. You are the permission. Stop outsourcing your worth. Stop waiting for the right sign, the right timing, the right validation. You have been it all along. Remember who you are. Remember who you are. Guidance. When this card appears, it's a call to turn inward and reclaim your own power. Don't seek it from others. You don't need it. You are the power. So freaking true. You may have been reaching outward for answers, approval, or confidence. Your soul already holds that blueprint. You are not lacking. You are unlocking. Unlock your own power. You don't need it from anybody else. You do not need to ride coattails of anybody else. I'm going to say that louder. Cherry, I hope your friend is listening. You don't need to ride anybody else's coattails. And you don't need to have a weird persona and be rude to your callers to have a great channel. You don't. You're better than that. Let this card remind you that alignment doesn't come from chasing. It comes from remembering who you are, from anchoring into your own truth and moving from that sacred center. Journalism prompts. What qualities have I been searching for outside of myself that I already possess? Stop looking for what you know you have inside your own heart, damn it. You know it's there. Stop trying to get it from somebody else. You know it's yours. Cut that out. And you know what I'm saying, just cut it out, okay? Stop it. Where am I underestimating my own magic and why? Yeah, why? I know why. Put the beverage down. Pick a different beverage. Water, sports drink. I'm just saying. What does my life look like when I fully trust my own power? I don't know. You haven't done that in a long time. In a long time. You've been taking that mirror and like shining it on everybody else. You have a really hard time turning that mirror on yourself. You know who I'm talking to. Maybe everybody else doesn't, but Cherry, get your friend on board. You know who I'm talking about. You haven't looked in that mirror at yourself for a while. And it's time to. Because you know who you'll see? Here's what I know. If you look through the eyes of Clubber, you'll see what he sees. And he doesn't see who everybody else that is upset with you sees. You'll see who he sees. He sees Dad. He sees his buddy. He sees his bestie. He sees the guy who loves him and takes him out for walks. That's who you'll see. Stop shining the mirror at other people. Look at yourself through your dog's eyes, will you please? What does my life look like when I fully trust my own power? Self-reconnection practice, inner mirror. Stand in front of a mirror, look into your own eyes. Oh, I don't think you can do this. Look into your own eyes for 60 seconds straight. Can you do that? I challenge you. William, I challenge you. Stand in front of a mirror, look into your own eyes for 60 seconds without looking away. As you breathe deeply, say, I am the magic. I am the source. I am the magic. I am the source. Not me, you. You say that when you're looking. I trust myself completely. Let any emotions rise. Let them move. Then write a love letter to yourself from your highest self's perspective. I know you go, oh, that's bullshit. It's not. And the fact that you even have the nerve to say that it's bullshit, because I can hear you in my head. And I hear Cherry laughing, because she knows I'm right. Hi, Terry. She knows I'm right. Okay? Affirmation. I am not missing anything. I am the magic I've been seeking. It's not going to happen until you realize that. And nobody can do that work for you except you. Action step. Take one bold step today that reflects your belief in yourself if you can. Launch it, share it, wear it, say it. Let the world see what happens when someone fully owns their light. I know this book is mental. Or, if I like to say it, when someone fully owns their shit. I own my shit all the time. I'm not always right. I make tons of mistakes, especially with my kid. And when I do, I own my shit. I'm like, Ruby, I am so sorry. I totally messed up. And I apologize to her, and we have an adult conversation about it, and we move on. Isn't Laura the best? I love Laura. So that was the card. You are the magic. But only if you believe that you are. You have to believe it. It has to come from you. It has to come from you. And I betcha if somebody can go boop and immediately give Clever a human voice, he would say, she's right, you know. Everything she says is right. Why don't you believe that, Dad? And we're done. There we go. There we go. So, I'm done. All I did was I did 8 and 9. These chapters are brutal. I can't do 10. I'm done. I'll read 10 tomorrow. I can't. 2 more chapters and I gotta take a break. And I just did a card and that's all. And I just... What'd you make, Terry? I know you made more muffins. What'd you make? You make muffins? What'd you make? A pie? A strudel? You made some shit. I know you made something. Listen, it's okay if you miss the whole thing. You can play it back. That's the whole point of making it. I'm going to leave it here. You can go back and play it again. You can listen to it 3 times if you want. I can't. The book is it's like living in my head. As a mother listening to this, or listening to myself read this book, I'm heartbroken for Eddie. I'm heartbroken for everybody, like the whole, like Janet, it's all of it. Oh no, I'm done. I'm all done. I'm about to turn it down. I'm done. I'm dizzy, like totally dizzy. There's something that happens when you're reading this, like for me anyways, especially with the light in my face, and it's like I'm dizzy. I feel like I'm spinning, like I'm getting vertigo. It's crazy. So I'm done with this, and I'll let you go back and start from the beginning and listen to, I did 2 chapters. But when you hear what they are, totally just heard something at my door. I'm not even fucking kidding. JFK, if you need to come here and babysit my ass, I'm sending you directions. It's gotten to that point, this book, for real, okay? I really don't need anybody to babysit me, I'm just saying. Every time I hear like the littlest knock, all right? So, that's that. I'm done for now. I'm gonna leave this here. You can go back and start from the beginning, Terry, and you enjoy the whole thing. I hope you love it. And I need to just go, I don't know. I think I need to go take a nice cold shower because I'm dizzy and I feel like all the evil garbage that Massachusetts is hiding in plain sight in this book is like seeped into my skin. I feel gross. I just want to go wash it off me, if that makes any sense. I don't know, maybe if you hear the chapters you'll understand what I'm saying. So I love you. I love all my people, and even somebody who is not listening to the advice that I am trying to give him. Trying, failing miserably, but trying. You can't blame a girl for trying. So, I'm gonna go. I need to go be kind to me. Trust me, you have no idea. I love you. Have a good night. You will see me tomorrow, first with the morning message, and then after everyone is doing their thing, we'll get back into the book. I just need a break. I need a break. I've had enough of that book right now.